Welcome to this third video in my vocal soundbite series. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you a very simple tool that you can use in your speaking to make it more engaging. Now, firstly, for most people, public speaking is utterly terrifying. And so for them, the goal, whether they're aware of it or not, is just to get the thing over and done with as quickly as possible and get out of the limelight as quickly as possible. But what I want to share with you today is this tool is really putting the focus on the audience, because really your goal is about what's best for your audience, what's going to make it more engaging and interesting for them. But what tends to happen is we get very consumed in our own thoughts and our own anxiety and our own fear, and we make it all about us. So this is really making it about your audience. What is best for them? So what is this magical tool? Well, it is the power of pauses. And pauses really are so transformational in your speaking when you can use them effectively. So why are pauses so effective? Well, firstly, you need to see that pauses are really punctuation. And so the audience doesn't have your script in front of them. They don't know what you're going to say. Maybe you don't know what you're going to say either. But they are really being guided by your pauses to know when it's a comma, when it's a full stop, when it's a new thought, a new paragraph, or bullet points. And what tends to happen is people tend to rush through things really quickly, very, very fast with no pauses. And it makes it really hard for your audience to follow you and to keep up with you. The pause length will vary depending on the type of punctuation that you are using. So if it's a new paragraph, you would want a longer pause than if it was a comma. Pauses help your audience to keep up with you and absorb your words. Now, your audience doesn't want to have to work very hard to follow you. So if they're struggling to keep up with you or understand you or whatever the thing is, you're just going to lose them and they're just going to switch off. And you might have the most fascinating things to share, but you are going to lose people. So putting pauses into your speaking just makes it much clearer and easier for your audience to follow you. Pauses are also a great way of creating drama and emphasis. And politicians are masters at this if you listen to really, really brilliant politicians. So whether that be a key word that you want your audience to take note of, or often in the case of politicians, they might want you to not notice something. So they might want to sort of rush through something and get you to focus on something else. So you can really use pauses to focus your audience's attention on a particular idea or concept or word. You can also use it with rhetorical questions. And so you might be asking a question of your audience, but you want to give the audience time to really think about what their answer is to your question. And so what tends to happen is people will ask a rhetorical question and then rush on to the next subject. So really sit in that pause and give your audience a chance to think, because it takes a lot of confidence, because what might only be a few seconds when you're up on a stage or in front of people seems like a lifetime. Pauses also get your audience's attention. And one very effective thing you can do before you start speaking is to pause. Again, most people will try and just get through the speech as quickly as possible. So they don't pause and they just want to start and get it over and done with. And actually, when you pause before you start speaking, you get people's attention because they're not expecting you to do that. Okay, so last but not least, pauses give you the time to really collect your thoughts, to center yourself and start to think about how you're actually going to articulate things. What happens with many of us is our brains work faster than our mouths. And so what comes out of our mouth isn't actually necessarily as articulate as we would like it, because we're just sort of rushing through the thoughts. So really give yourself time so you can fully formulate what you want to say. And this is particularly true as well if you're not reading off a script, of course, because you are actually thinking in the moment as you speak. So adding pauses effectively into your speaking is such a powerful tool, but it does take practice. And firstly, I think it's just becoming aware of the different types of pauses and then very consciously trying to put them into your speaking. And eventually, of course, you want it to become so natural that no one knows that that's what you're doing, that it's just flows and you naturally do it. And you naturally then engage people in what you're saying. So if you enjoyed today's video, please like, comment or share. And if you have any comments on today's video or any thoughts on other topics you'd like me to cover, please comment below.